I represent the Puyallup Valley, a special place with extraordinary people. Japanese families immigrated to our valley over 100 years ago to the rich soil to start raspberry and strawberry farms along the Puyallup River, or to start small businesses in Fife. They were important contributors to the life of the community. And then 72 years ago, this spring, everything changed. Men and women of Japanese descent from Seattle and the Puyallup Valley were ordered to report to the Puyallup City Hall between May 14th and 16th, 1942, to register for placement in an internment camp at the Puyallup Fairgrounds. At Puyallup High School, an all-school assembly was held at that time to say goodbye to Japanese American students who were to be interned in the Puyallup Fairgrounds nearby. Across the river at Fife High School, the departure forever changed that school. The late Bob Mizukami once told me that half of the baseball team disappeared. The pain of leaving home was unspeakably deep. The pain of being forced from a place they loved. Madam Speaker, may I read a quote from Tadako Tamura, Secretary of the Puyallup Valley Japanese American Citizens League?
Please proceed.
He wrote this to the Tacoma News Tribune. "The soil we worked, the soil our parents worked so conscientiously, it has become too much a part of us to leave so easily." Families could bring only what they could carry as they entered the fairgrounds that week. Camp administrators issued mattress covers to be filled with straw and assigned families to small rooms and makeshift barracks. Over the next few months, the internees ate in a mess hall. They organized dances and activities, and they learned to get along in the uncomfortably close quarters of what was called Camp Harmony. I was touched when former Seattle School District Administrator Frank Hannawalt told me a story about his father, who was the longtime superintendent of the Puyallup School District, Paul Hannawalt. Hannawalt went to the federal authorities at Camp Harmony and requested a brief leave for Japanese American students who were to graduate with the Puyallup High School class of 1942. His request was approved, and on graduation day that June, the superintendent drove to the gates of the fairgrounds and picked up Rosie Takamura and Yukio Takeuchi so that they could walk with their class. When graduation was over, Mr. Hannawalt drove them back to the fairgrounds, but on the way he made a detour up Pioneer and went to Martin's Confectionery, where he treated the new Viking alums to Mr. Martin's homemade ice cream. In September, the internees were relocated by train to the desert of Idaho. The train ride is an especially haunting memory for many of the Japanese Americans who lived through that time. In the Idaho desert, the 964 Japanese Americans from the Puyallup Valley and the 6,185 from Seattle moved into blockhouses. They called that place Minidoka. Internees were allowed to apply for work releases away from the camp if they could line up employment. Bob Mizukami from Fife spent the fall of 1942 harvesting sugar beets and potatoes near Minidoka. After the harvest, he volunteered for the Army and spent the war serving with the all-Japanese American 442nd Infantry Regiment already mentioned. His brother Frank and his brother William also served in the 442nd, and William lost his life in action at Anzio in Italy. As we've heard, the 442nd became one of the most highly decorated regiment in all of American history. All told, 211 Minidoka internees volunteered for military service. We owe them our thanks. After the war, many Japanese Americans tried to return home. Some began life anew elsewhere. They faced continued prejudices from their fellow Americans that added to their difficulties, but they persevered. They became leaders in our communities. We owe all of the Japanese Americans who endured the injustice of internment our commitment to the principles of civil rights and equality. We here are chartered by the opening words of our state constitution to protect and maintain individual rights. May these hard events from 7 decades ago remind us to take that work seriously. May we each do our part here to stand for freedom and dignity in our own time. Thank you, Madam Speaker.